Okay, let's go. Happy Thursday in Japan. This is a video for the Canpur Silver Flash. It's a single dynamic driver. It's $169. I'm not going to send this to anybody because it's my reference dynamic driver set. Price be damned. This is an epic set. But I'm going to do better than send you my set because I've got to keep it for myself for reference. I'm going to buy a set for you when I get your address and pick you and send it directly from Landstar. I'm going to order it from Joseph and I'm going to give him your address. I'm going to send it directly to you. You can get tracking just like you bought it, except I bought it. That sounds like a score, and it is. So go ahead and comment below. Hit the thumbs up button or hit the like button. And make sure you subscribe to this and the unboxing channel where I did unbox this set. I'm going to make a bold statement, and then I'm going to make an argument for it. And then the comment section is where you can disagree. You can use profanity, but I might have to approve it. But don't ever attack another commenter or talk to me. Don't talk to other commenters. That's why people get banned. I have a very nice family-like community in the comment section. Anything that disturbs that is immediately removed, cut, and banished forever. Life is too short to be dealing with people's bad days expressed on the internet, directed at strangers. I'm not doing it. But comment below and potentially score an absolutely fantastic set. I said yesterday on Hi-Fi Guides, which is where I live because I can't stand Discords, to be straight up with you. Everybody in a Discord seems to revolve around the person that created the Discord like planets around the sun. It happened to me. I felt like people were kind of glazing on my, I won't say it. And then I saw that in other Discords, and I'd rather be on a public thing where I can say crazy stuff. And if you want to disagree, go ahead and jump in. I will stand on my point until you push me off of it with facts, beyond just opinion, and teach me. It's never happened, but I'm there to have it done to me. I said yesterday that I thought that this was the best set that Canpur's released. That's crazy. The 622B, the 752B. Those are multi-$1,000 sets that I praise one of them strongly. And I said, and so this person says, no way, that's wild. He's a really cool dude. And he's just saying like, really? And I said, it sounds more natural and accurate than the $5,700 set. Companies charge what they do because they can. And materials and assembly also count into that. Pro tip, the combined cost of components, labor time, and any R&D, which is rare, has no specific correlation to sound quality. None, zero. Just because companies tell you something is their flagship, it means nothing. There is no, 11 years in this hobby, there is no direct connection between the driver count, the quality of the drivers, the amount of crossovers, and the sound quality. There is none. It happens, but it's like flipping a coin, and I hit it 30% of the time, which would be pretty impressive. It's about like that. This isn't rocket science, unfortunately, in some ways. It would be awesome if you paid lots of money and you always got better replay than the set you had before, which is more affordable. That would be awesome. I would not waste money if that were the case. Problem is it's super subjective, and companies really don't put a lot of effort into anything besides adding a little something, another crossover point, a different driver, try to improve the tuning, and think that that equals, at the real world level, better. It often doesn't occur. More often doesn't than it does. If you think that the materials and the crossover points and the R&D, which is rare, is it directly correlated to sound quality, then go ahead and say that below. I think that's foolish. I'll say that right off, but you can make the argument if you think that something's otherwise. It's just like unbranded drivers. Are you going to get less sound quality from unbranded drivers? That's not the point. The point is talking about what's inside of the goods that you buy, whether it's a computer, a desktop amplifier, receiver, anything that you buy, a phone, a camera, anything that's got performance claims of having entry and mid and top level. There's got to be, how do you separate those? Because you said so? Yeah, no. Tell me more than that. So the Canpur at $169 is the most enjoyable, most accurate to my ears Canpur that I've ever heard. I loved the CP622B because it didn't sound like it had BAs, it sounded like it had a DD. And I really, really loved it. But this sounds like a more natural listen, which is related to the dynamic driver. Let's go ahead and talk about music. Kill Jill, Kendrick Lamar, Killjoy's big boy. Kendrick Lamar, Wu-Tang Clan, Nas, Ghetto Boys. 808 drops between 35 and 65 hertz, mainly, that are substantial. This isn't a bass head set, but it does do hip hop fine. I went through the whole Damn album by Kendrick Lamar, and I loved every track in it. The vocals sounded so sweet. I'll get to that in a second. But it was sufficient and sometimes sounded really good. But it's not a bass head set. But that's kind of the reason that I find it to be so impressive. It'll do that, not to bass head level, but it's satisfying. As we get into 4 and 5 bass string, pulls, plucks, release, the ringing of the string, we're getting to a much more complicated instrument because instead of just focused in the sub bass, a little bit in the mid bass, this is something that goes out to 6 kilohertz. And the way that it's tuned beyond the bass region directly impacts the overall quality of how that instrument sounds. To my ears, whether it sounds authentic, does it sound like I'm in a room with a person playing a bass guitar? This actually does. Listening to Sneaking Sally Through the Alley, an album by Robert Palmer. You might not know who he is, but there's a triplet. There's 3 tracks. There's Hey Julia, or Hey Julia, Sailing Shoes, and Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. Boom. The bass line in that is absolutely epic. That is funk. If you want to know what funk is, go listen to Robert Palmer Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. That triplet, it's 3 tracks that are essentially one that are kind of combined. It's like a set of 3. There's some albums that do stuff like that, and he did that with these 3 songs. The bass lines sound epic. Doobie Brothers, Taken to the Street, Fleetwood Mac, The Chain. All of those classic bass lines sounded absolutely fantastic. In the low frequency, it's the standout part. The drops are good, but they're not bass head level, which is the kind of hip hop thing. The bass guitar is fantastic. The bottom kick drum, boom, 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 off of Led Zeppelin's 4th album. It's a track called When the Levee Break. It's an iconic track. It's had stories written about it. It's had videos made about it because there's conflicting stories about who supplied the gear. Was it The Who? Was it the Stones? Was it at Hadley Grange? Did they hang mics in the stairwell? There's people saying different stuff. That it's based all around a very iconic entry to a song. Very produced kick drum to open the track. Boom, 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 boom. This plays that about like hip hop, which is good. It's not a slammer. It's not a bass head set. And usually 808s and the kick drum kind of hold hands. They're both awesome, or they're both not that great. Even though one is more dependent on the mid bass than the other, they seem to hold hands. The bass guitar, on the other hand, sounds absolutely fantastic. Now, that lack of really out there bass is what makes the next part, which is vocals. Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, Lena doing the cover Blondie, sound as good as they do because the bass isn't overly emphasized to the point of distraction. Vocals can sound like they're husked because you're lifting up the mid bass, or they can sound like they're thin because the same exact part of the frequency response you're pulling back or you're pushing up. It's immediately perceptible. It's the same as with the ear gain. If you turn this angle up and you amplify it, it'll instantly jump out at you. It'll sound like the word loud because it's putting the vocals more forward. The mid bass is very sensitive. This seems to, through perhaps luck, to be done perfectly for the driver that's being tasked to do it. The tuning matches the driver. That's another point. A lot of times taking, very nice drivers from brands and tuning them in the way that you are going for some kind of a target doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way to use that driver. This driver, this single dynamic driver, sounds like it's doing exactly what it should do. What it's best at doing, it is actually doing. So vocals sound fantastic. As we get into the harmonics and overtones, like I said, knuckle on the table, the immediate sound that's created by that sonic event is the frequency that it exists at. Like, let's say it's at 400 hertz, maybe a little bit lower, the knock on the table. What you hear that split second is the sound, the fundamental sound. But most of what you hear, even though that lasts for about a second, most of that, 90% of that, is the sound created by the sonic event, which is really what the definition of harmonics is, an overtones, tones. This is what's happening as a result of what happened, what you did. So a lot of that exists really halfway up and all beyond the ear gain, which contains all of the harmonic parts of most instruments that are common in rock and roll library, in classical music. Vocals are musical instruments, so they are included in that. The peak that's at 8K is very much related to the measurement device, because I don't pick up anything that's fatiguing. I listened to this for a long period of time. I thought that the harmonics were... This maybe gets better as we go. The bass is great. The mids are really, really nice. Maybe the harmonics are the best part of it, because I was listening for long periods of time, which gets to the one thing that I have to say. I listened to this last night for 3.5 hours until I had to recharge a DAP. And my left ear started to feel not pain, but just discomfort that I don't really get commonly, and it's probably related to this wing that's on here. I'm going to put this up here so that you can see it. It's got a pretty good wing right there. And it just dropped. I'll just leave it there. I think that it was only on my left side, not my right, but I do boxing and Muay Thai, and I've been kicked in the head, elbowed, punched, and it happens on different sides, and my ears are shaped differently. So a right-handed person, which is most people, would be hitting me on my left side. And that side is different from the right side, and I got discomfort on the left side, but not the right side, because my ears are not exactly the same. Most people aren't, but mine is definitely smushed up a little bit from boxing and Muay Thai. So I got discomfort during long listening sessions, twice. But I'm not going to be listening for 2 hours plus a lot, but I do want to keep it for a reference set. So I would say to people that if you're really sensitive to those wings, the protrusions on shells, you really need to pay attention, and you're probably more suited towards sets that are like this. Like this is just for an example, this Twistura. This doesn't really have any mark on the side. In comparison, you can see how these both are different. And there's a lot of sets that are kind of like this, but so this set wouldn't bother me really ever. But I do have to use deep insertion, which is kind of pushed home by the point that I need really, really, really fat tips, which means I got to push it down to get a full seal. So that's something to pay attention to. I would definitely consider that as something that would preclude that. If you listen for long periods of time and you're particularly sensitive to that part of an IEM, then this might be something you had better try before you buy it. For other people that listen for, an hour or so, and aren't particularly stimulated by stuff like that as much as they are by nozzle width or nozzle length, then I would say don't worry about it. But for those people, I definitely want to mention that, because I do listen for long periods of time, and I did run into some discomfort twice, and it was on the same ear, and it was related to how deep I've got to push it in. That was a kind of long video. I'm not sorry for it. I want to reiterate one more time. Companies and the prices that they ask has no correlation to actual sound quality. We determine sound quality, not them. Is it a us versus them thing? Yes, it is, because we are the spenders and they are the gather profit people. We are on different sides. You stay over there and do your thing, and I'll stay over here and do my thing. And sometimes we're going to match. You're going to say this is our best thing, and I'm going to think, yeah, I think it is. But that actually doesn't happen as much as you might think. I'm a big believer in sitting down and listening to stuff and not believing too much in the graph, because I'll get onto a video and say, the graph made me think this. I just did that with the soda. I thought that's too much energy, but it sounded great. So we got lots of biases and preconceived notions before we start to listen to stuff, and some of it is like the company's asking a lot of money for this, so it must be good. And then you listen to it and you're immediately hit with this. The other one that's like half the price that they made, I thought was better. Like these little things that people say, and then some people on Headfire or other places will be like, "No, come on, bro, it's not on the same level. Your apples and oranges. This thing's $5,000 or $3,000, and that's a $200 set." It's a really, I don't know if people are captured by the whole hobby, or if they're speaking on behalf of companies. I still don't know. It's hard to tell. Human bots basically is what it is. Money and the thing that they say and all of this spiel about what they did. Again, there's passive and active crossovers, and then there's like 1,000 ways to pretend you redid that. And then there's drivers, and you can put 1 or 16 in a set, and none of that really has any direct, provable, consistent correlation to sound quality, which is a subjective thing. Just remember that the next time you see somebody telling another person, that's not really a good comparison, because that's this price and this other one's another price. That is really BS logic. If you disagree with that, comment below.